Well. We are back with an evening episode of the Bald Brad Show, where we cover all the major news that you need to know about heading into your work day, your work weekend, really whatever time we are streaming. Our normal broadcast time is 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, but we had to do things a little bit different today. And man, do we have a show prepared for all of you. And we might as well just jump into the whole thing because the Biden DOJ, oh boy, has utilized the FBI to snoop on the GOP lawmakers. So this is interesting. So let's talk about what might be the biggest political bombshells of the entire year, Patriots. And somehow, nobody's really talking about it. You're not going to see it in the legacy media. They don't seem to care. And others on the Democrat side of the aisle, obviously, it doesn't go with their narrative, so they're not going to talk about it. And we're talking about the Biden administration's FBI. Yes, the same FBI that spent years chasing down the Russia collusion. Y'all remember that one? Those fantasies? And was caught snooping on sitting Republican lawmakers. Folks, it wasn't their staffers, not the campaign aides. It was the actual senators, 8 of them, plus 1 congressman. Now, you heard all of that correctly. The Biden DOJ was literally investigating members of the opposing political party under the pretense of election meddling. Because apparently the new definition of protecting democracy is spying on your political opponents, apparently. So here's what we know. Let me bring you down to earth a little bit here. Senator Chuck Grassley released a document this week. And what this document showed was that the Biden FBI obtained and analyzed phone metadata. Now, basically, who Republican senators called, when, and how often as part of something called Operation Arctic Frost. They even got a cool little name to attach to it. Now, this sounds legitimately like something out of like a Tom Clancy novel, if anybody's like a literary reader around here. But no. This was your federal government and mine at work. And you might be asking, well, who did they target, Brad? Like, you said it was senators, but like, who was it? People like Marsha Blackburn, Bill Hagerty, Cynthia Loomis, Ron Johnson, Tommy Tuberville, Dan Sullivan, the legend Josh Hawley, the not-so-liked Lindsey Graham, and Representative Mike Kelly. So in other words, some of the most, we'll say, vocal critics of the Biden administration. Total coincidence, though, isn't it? Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, total coinkydink, Patriots. Now, Democrats are out here prancing around saying, everybody just relax. They didn't actually listen to the phone calls. They just looked at who they're calling. Oh, well, everybody pump the brakes, notify the newspapers, let them know how you feel. And that's really comforting. Oh, I'm glad. Oh, well, thank goodness. Folks, they just tracked the communications of sitting senators like a banana republic secret police. But it's totally fine. It's normal. Nothing to worry about here. Nothing to see. Now, you see how insane that is? That these are lawmakers, people elected by millions of Americans, being treated like suspects for just, questioning the election. God forbid you do that. Remember how they silenced all of us for questioning COVID, the origins? Is this messaging really real? Are the stats actually legitimate to call for the entire shutdown of, the entire globe? But you ask questions, you get silenced, right? You ask questions and things get a little bit fuzzy. That's not democracy, folks. That's weaponized law enforcement. And Chuck Grassley didn't mince words. He said, well, what a lot of us are thinking, this might actually be worse than Watergate. Gee, how many times that got brought up? And he's right, by the way, because Watergate was just about a few guys breaking into the DNC headquarters. This, on the other hand, is the Department of Justice and the FBI. If that wasn't like a punch in the gut yet, folks, that's the most powerful law enforcement agencies on the planet, turning their surveillance tools inward on elected representatives of half the country. You can't get more dangerous than that. But this is what happens when the people who control the institutions, the media, the education system, decide that saving democracy means destroying checks and balances. But don't worry, Donald Trump's the one that's the tyrant. He's the authoritarian. He's the one that's going to rip up the Constitution and throw it in the trash. Sounds like projecting from the Democrat Party. Now, Republicans like Marsha Blackburn are furious over this whole thing, and should be, by the way. Should be, as should all of us and you. She called it a violation of civil rights and privacy rights. And she said that she can't find a single precedent for the FBI doing something like this. In the same way that they've done this before with abortion by fabricating out of whole cloth rights that never existed. They said when they looked at the shadows in the penumbras, that's where you can find the abortion rights. In the same way that people say, oh, their trans rights are being removed. Well, what rights are being removed? Well, they don't know. It's out there somewhere in the ether. In the same way here, this president's, that's somewhere out there in the ether. They'll find it. Just when they look hard enough and then they start pulling stuff out of there, you know what? Oh, they'll find it. Oh, they'll find it. So she is absolutely correct here. And you know what? She's right again on that precedence. Because there isn't one, by the way. There's no record, as far as I've looked, of the FBI ever targeting sitting members of Congress like this. This is uncharted territory, folks. Now, you could say, well, Brad, weren't they kind of looking into the Trump campaign and others? Correct. But we are talking about Congress now. And it's the kind of stuff you'd expect from Venezuela or Russia, folks, not Washington, D.C. But things have changed. Democrats now seem to be doing all this wonky, weird stuff. And can you imagine? Let's just imagine for a second here. If you flip this, let's flip this script for a second. Just everybody close their eyes, their little beady eyes, and imagine if Donald Trump had spied on 8 Democrat senators and 1 House Democrat during an investigation into, I don't know, let's say election integrity. Do you think the media would have a little bit of a meltdown? Do you think the media would just run wall-to-wall coverage on this? I mean, CNN would have a countdown clock to impeachment. Rachel Maddow would be in tears, and the New York Times would have like a special section titled The End of Democracy. But because it's Biden's DOJ, suddenly it's just routine metadata collection. Freaking spare me, Democrats, you liars. They always do this. They manipulate stuff. They try to spin it and do all this wonky, bonky, weird stuff. And here's the thing. This wasn't somehow low-level rogue operation. This is the kind of surveillance that would have had to have been signed off by, leadership. Meaning, this guy, the former FBI director, Christopher Wray, y'all remember that guy that told us that the 1023 form didn't work and Chuck Grassley held it in front of him and said, I got it right here. Yeah, that liar, Christopher Wray. And then you also have the other scummy little wonky dude called Merrick Garland, the prior attorney general. Possibly even the president himself would have had to sign off on this whole thing. Remember Barack Obama wanted that different assessment for Crossfire Hurricane? Y'all remember that one came from the top? And the Democrats tried to spin it, tried to turn it into a nothing burger when it's an everything burger because they tried to create the biggest surveillance apparatus we've ever seen. Now, Republicans are demanding answers, as should all of us. Nobody wants to talk about it, though, it seems like. And they should want to get answers and demand for it. Because if Biden knew about this, and if he signed off on it, folks, using auto pen, don't matter. That's an abuse of power. Of historic proportions, mind you, folks. But of course, the left will tell you that even if you ask these questions, what you will be doing if you ask any sort of questions, you might be censored, you might be deplatformed, shadow banned, but you will also be undermining the faith of our institutions. You can't ask questions. It's bad. As if the FBI hasn't done a perfectly good job of that on its own, by the way. From the Russia hoax to the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story to raiding Mar-a-Lago, digging Melania's underwear drawer, from giving a Biden a free pass, it's become painfully clear, folks, that there's one standard of justice for Democrats and another one for everyone else, because we're just pawns in some makeshift reality that Democrats are creating for themselves. So here's where things are as of right now. The Biden administration, the one that promised to, you remember this one? I know. Hold on a second. Restore the norms and bring back democracy, has overseen an FBI that spied on its political opponents, including, by the way, Donald Trump himself and his family, and used its power to target parents at school board meetings and labeled half of the country. Y'all remember this one? Potential domestic threats. Matter of fact, it was Biden's DHS advisory board with the top intelligence community signing on to it that deemed you, if you were a Trump supporter, have ever served in the military, or are somebody of faith, you are deemed a terror risk in your own country. That's normal, though. Yeah, don't ask questions. It'd be odd if you asked questions because, again, you're just supposed to have faith in these institutions, even though they've done everything to remove your rights and your liberties. Folks, this is not normal. This is not how a constitutional republic works, by the way, or operates. This is how political regimes operate when they know they are losing the control of the people. And you know why this matters? Because if they could do it to the senators, then the people that actually have political power and they're being surveyed, can you imagine what they're going to do to you and me? They don't even need to wiretap your phone, by the way, folks. They could just grab your data, flag your social media posts, monitor your Venmo transactions, which they were trying to do, or label you a high risk for believing the wrong things. They want to shut you up, folks, is what they want to do. That's not paranoia. That's literally happening, by the way. And you've seen it, and we've talked about it, and we covered it. So yes, this is worse than Watergate because Watergate didn't have the full force of the FBI, the DOJ, the intelligence community behind it. This one does. And if Congress doesn't hold these people accountable, we might as well stop pretending that we still have a two-party system. We've got a one party in power and another under investigation. And that, ladies and gentlemen, patriots, is the real threat to democracy. Yeah, you're damn right I wrote that. And you're damn right that packed a really good punch because you're seeing what's going on, man. And it is some serious, serious stuff. But Democrats won't stop. They're not here to support you. They're not here to represent you. They're here to represent everybody else around the world. They're here not to do their job. They're here to just grandstand and make things seem psycho, chaotic, lunatic, whatever you want to call it, out there in society, and just scramble and create chaos. And whenever there's chaos, they've said, never let a chaos or a crisis go to waste. So what we have here for all of you is Hakeem Jeffries coming out, and it's a long clip, but getting in the face of a House Republican, and they go nose to nose in a hallway spat, folks. And Hakeem Jeffries says, keep your mouth shut, and he ain't happy about it. Here we go.
On right now. Let me ask you a question. Did you get permission from your boss? Why don't we sign on right now? Did your boss, Donald Trump? You can easily extend the ACA right now. Did your boss, Donald Trump, give you permission? Yes, he is. No, he's not. And by the way, so let me ask you a question. Why did you vote to shut the government down? Why did you vote to shut it down? Let me ask you a question. For years, you always lectured about how we need to keep the government open. You're making a show of this to make yourself relevant. It's sad. You could easily sign on to this. You're embarrassing yourself right now. You could sign on to this. The only embarrassment here is you. You're an embarrassment. You could sign on to the bill. Let me ask you a question. You have 4 Democrats on here. Why won't you sign on to it? Let me ask you a question. It's a clean extension for 1 year. You voted for the one big ugly bill, correct? I voted for a tax cut bill that gave the largest tax cut to Americans in history, including, by the way, the average New Yorker getting a $4,000 tax cut. Are you against that? You're embarrassing yourself right now. Do you want to cut the standard deduction in half? The largest cut to Medicaid in American history. You voted for that.
Fraud, and abuse, by the way.
Voted
Tom DiNapoli, the Democratic controller of New York,
let me ask you a question.
Pointed out that $1.2 billion were wasted.
Listen, you're not going to talk to me.
Getting spicy
you're
now.
not going to talk to me and talk
and
over me
New York residents
because you don't want to hear what I have to say.
Oh, I'm listening.
So why don't you just keep your mouth shut?
Oh,
is that the way to talk?
You showed up.
And that's exactly what they want all of you to do, by the way. And that's exactly why they were looking into the senators. That's exactly why they call you a terrorist in your own country. They want you to shut up because you're the problem. And if you don't shut your mouth, as you've seen from the progressive left wing of the Democrat Party, they'll force you to shut up. They will lock your ass up in jail like they did during COVID-19. They will remove you from your social media posts. They will get you fired from your job. They will call your employer. They will dox you and harass you. And they will even delete you like you saw with Charlie Kirk. And I am as serious as a heart attack, folks. These people are dangerous. And I'm not talking about the Democrats. I am talking about the progressive left. And now they want to shut you up. And now you're seeing it on camera. They want to shut him up because he's speaking the truth. He's on there representing the American people. Nothing changed in the CR. This is exactly what Democrats wanted. And they're upholding the entire government, the entire United States, because they'd rather give money to everybody else than the other actual taxpayers, American taxpayers.
Yeah. And so you voted for this one
I
big
signed
ugly
on
bill.
for this. You can extend it right now.
A permanent extension of massive tax breaks for your billionaire donors.
So 90% of Americans.
So they can get a permanent extension.
90% of Americans take the standard
Americans
deduction.
Is that right?
90% of Americans take the standard deduction.
Is that right?
If you had your way, the standard deduction would have been cut in half. That would have been a massive tax increase on Americans all across the country.
You're
you support
here,
that?
Unfortunately,
you're against lifting the cap on salt.
Of your billionaire donors.
The billionaire donors lifting the cap on salt. We put a income cap in place.
Why are you here right now?
An income cap. Didn't you want all Republicans to be here? I'm here.
Where are the rest of your Republican
You wanted Republicans to be here. I'm here.
Why are you
And
here?
by the way, you can pass an ACA extension right now. Sign on to this bill.
Did your boss
sign on to the bill?
Is your boss Donald Trump behind that?
HR 5145. Why don't you get on it?
Mike, is your boss Donald Trump behind that?
Why won't you get on it?
Because you don't work for the American people.
Oh, I do. I work for the people of New York. I work for the people of my district.
Is that why you?
I'm here.
You got 140.
And by the way, I voted ACA a clean CR to keep the government open and funded. You voted to shut it down.
You're embarrassing yourself right now.
Yeah, leader, with all due respect, you're the one.
Why are you playing yourself?
You're the one who actually voted to shut the government down.
Actually,
It's
know
sad.
that's not true.
It's sad. You voted to shut the government down.
Do Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the president?
Right, and you're smart enough to know that you
right?
need 60 votes in the Senate, right?
Is that right? No.
Do you need 60 votes in the Senate or
Were
no?
60 votes needed to pass your one big ugly bill?
Reconciliation, which you did with the IRA, and boy, that really reduced inflation.
Are you
did a
trying
great
to
job
elevate
there.
yourself because you're
I'm not trying to.
He's talking about the Inflation Reduction Act that Joe Biden himself said actually did not reduce inflation. So this goes back and forth. It continues to be spicy. Nothing really gets done. Both grandstanding. But look, I mean, Hakeem Jeffries is in the wrong here. I hate to say it. There's four. All they need is a few more to get on board here, and they're not willing to do it. They'd rather give health care to illegal immigrants. All the while, when you have veterans sleeping on the streets, that's not a problem to Democrats. It's not a big deal whatsoever, not at all. And if you talk about it again, you're the problem. And I think Matt Walsh says it perfectly here. And we're going to break this down. This is going to be quite a bit. Not only did you have the Biden deep state spying on now Americans, but also you have here one of the greatest scams to ever happen in American history. History is rife with names of great men who, throughout no fault of their own, were imprisoned at one point or another, and during their incarceration, instead of wasting their time, they produced meaningful works of literature. Sir Walter Raleigh wrote The History of the World while imprisoned in the Tower of London. Sir Thomas More wrote A Dialogue of Comfort Against Tribulation. During his stint in the same prison, John Bunyan wrote The Pilgrim's Progress from jail. The Apostle Paul wrote several epistles while under house arrest, and hell, in caves, by the way. If there's a lesson we can draw from all these examples, it would seem to be that even when comforted with a major disruption to their day-to-day life, productive and creative people still find a way to make use of their time. They don't wallow in self-pity and narcissism. Instead, they adapt to their new situation. They use their intellect in creative ways, and they keep going. Take a group of motivated, smart individuals, hand them a setback, and they will overcome it and even use it to their advantage. And this is what's going to separate the winners from the losers, because the losers will roll over like a toto, and say, woe me, woe me. Of course, that raises the obvious question, what happens in the opposite scenario? Well, what happens when you take an extremely lazy and unintelligent group of people and hand them a minor setback to their day-to-day lives? How do monumentally untalented and self-absorbed individuals react when their mindless routine is disrupted, even for a moment? If they don't produce the Pilgrim's Progress, what do they produce exactly? Absolutely nothing. And a society that wants everything handed to them is what they produce. Unfortunately, for a sociology professors out there who are hoping to run this experiment, we know and now have definitive answers to that question. That's because, as you probably haven't noticed in any way, hundreds of thousands of federal government workers have been furloughed since October 1st, and nobody's probably felt it, by the way. As part of the ongoing government shutdown, and during this furlough, thousands of federal government workers have been keeping themselves busy, not by producing any great work of literature, but by producing an overwhelming number of vapid TikToks that have been polluting the internet for more than a week at this point. So rather than maybe finding part-time work, rather than putting in applications to McDonald's or going to do some warehouse work or whatever it may be, no. They're making TikTok videos, folks. They're eating popsicles. They're memeing rap lyrics, and they're taking videos of themselves looking at mirrors. And they want the world to know it for some reason. So here we go.
I don't know how I'm supposed to pay the bills. Probably have to start selling crack. Or rapping about selling crack.
Day 4 of furlough, and it just keeps getting better and better. I have never been unplayed.
All right, we're going to move on here. If you're tempted to excuse any of these insane behaviors, maybe you're inclined to say these people can do whatever they want on their own time. You should know that some of federal employee workers are indeed being told they need to commute to the office during the shutdown. And rest assured, those workers are uploading TikToks too.
Because I don't need any of that. I need some water and my check. And that's all I need, honey. I show up, I do what you ask.
What makes these videos of these public servants even more enraging than they might seem, and if that's even possible, is that the government shutdown isn't really about any of these people. Yes, they are glorified welfare recipients with fake jobs, and we shouldn't have to pay their salaries. But the government shutdown is actually about a separate set of taxpayer handouts, and this is where we get into the nitty-gritty, folks. Specifically, Democrats want to renew federal subsidies for Obamacare plans. But remember, I thought it was affordable. No, it's called the Affordable Care Act. It's affordable. Why are we asking for more money? Check this out. This stuff's going to blow your mind. This is exactly why we're breaking it down. And they want to reverse Medicaid cuts that Donald Trump just signed into law, including cuts that would impose new work requirements and kick so-called asylum seekers off the program. So last week, as you might remember, Matt Walsh and others and myself indicated that they wouldn't really want to take or talk about the government shutdown. And there was a reason for that. When you do this job long enough, you begin to realize that government shutdowns are not, in fact, a big deal. This is something that I've been pushing as well. The only people that feel this the most are those that work in the federal government. But I'd also like to point out that if your government can function just off essential workers, then doesn't that mean that your government is bloated? And I'm not saying you wouldn't need a little bit more than what's essential out there to function. But really, I mean, go to the chat right now. Is anybody feeling this currently, the government shutdown at all? Maybe those that are flying out of Burbank, I suppose. Not sure. For one thing, as we just established, 80% of the government workers are useless. No one cares if they're working or not. Secondly, in pretty much every case, the government shutdown gets resolved and nothing really changes. Usually, whatever the dispute is about, they kick that can down the road, which is what they're going to do. Probably again, be like $40 trillion, then $45 trillion. But in case In this case, it's worth taking a moment to talk about what's really happening here, if only because of the sheer volume of lying that we're all being subjected to. So check this out. Here's just one example from CBS Face the Nation.
Because they want to do this. You know what they counter propose? They want to spend $1.5 trillion and they want to return hard-working taxpayer dollars to fund health care for illegal aliens. Yeah. It is in their bill. Go to speaker.gov and see it for yourself. Page 57, section 2141. They're using this for political games, and it is shameful, and real people are getting hurt.
Well, I have looked at that text. It doesn't explicitly say what you are indicating, but unauthorized immigrants aren't eligible for ACA
yes,
benefits.
It does. It says very simply they want to repeal the changes that we made in the Working Families Tax Cut, the One Big Beautiful Bill. And what those changes were is it removed health care going to illegal aliens. It removed all the fraud, waste, and abuse. And the Congressional Budget Office, CBO, said it achieved the desired result. They project it'll save almost $200 billion. Chuck Schumer's proposal on page 57 wants to return that $200 billion of taxpayer funds to pay for illegal aliens and other non-citizens. That is a fact, and you can check it out on my website, speaker.gov. Don't trust me. Look at Chuck Schumer's own paperwork.
Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
I mean, she had nothing to say to that, and he's right. So the anchorwoman tries to fact check him, but she doesn't actually make a point. No, she stopped doing it and saying exactly what she's saying because she realized that she just got freaking smacked across the head. Now, the word broadly in this, if you look at this, Rolling Stone attempted to similarly fact check after Mike Johnson's appearance here. So here's the key line from the article. It's important to note that undocumented immigrants broadly do not qualify for Medicaid. Broadly, oh boy, that word is doing a lot of work. Affordable Care Act subsidies or other federally funded health care coverage. So whenever you see a wedge word like that, meaning broadly, where they can say something in a clear, definitive way, they're lying, which is typical of that party as of the last few decades. In reality, illegal immigrants aren't allowed to access Medicaid in the same way that you aren't allowed to go through a stop sign without coming to a complete stop. That's a good analogy, by the way, by Matt Walsh. It's a restriction that in practice is basically meaningless. Illegal aliens, as a matter of objective, observable fact, which we've talked about here on the show, we've seen even Democrats talking about it, are allowed to enroll in Medicaid. And I'm not just talking about emergency coverage. If you go to the websites of different states, which Matt Walsh is going to do here for us, check this out. Go to the websites of New York, Massachusetts, California, Colorado, North Carolina, and Oregon, and you'll find often explicit statements that Medicaid coverage is provided for illegals, including for primary care. Look at this. For Oregon Health Authority, what is the most recent update regarding Medi-Cal coverage for undocumented immigrants? Starting January 2024, all income eligible Californians may qualify for full scope Medi-Cal regardless of immigration status. People of any age or immigration status may qualify for full Oregon Health Plan OHP benefits. Emergency Medicaid. If you are not and cannot get full health coverage through NC Medicaid and are not a U.S. citizen, you may be able to get emergency Medicaid. Anyone can apply for emergency Medicaid, no matter their immigration status. They only need to meet the regular Medicaid rules like age and income requirements. Oh, weird. I was told this wasn't happening. No, you keep hearing it. It's not exactly a well-kept secret. New Yorkers often manage Medicaid care plans for illegals. Illegals in Massachusetts are entitled to full scope Massachusetts Medicaid coverage. Check this out. Starting January 1st, 2024, there's a new option for health insurance available for, what does it say there? Undocumented immigrants over the age of 65. I mean, it's receipt after receipt after receipt. Primary source, by the way, directly from the horse's mouth, folks. What is the new healthcare coverage? Oh, well, let's find out. The new insurance offers a more comprehensive benefits package for this population. Well, what population was that? Oh, it was the undocumented immigrants over age 65, illegal immigrants. Gotcha. The new insurance adds preventative and primary care benefits, including routine doctor visits, recommended screenings, lab tests, wellness services, prescription drugs, and supplies, and more. Oh, interesting. We also have undocumented immigrants' healthcare benefits in Massachusetts. Wasn't happening, though. It's not real. What about Chicago? What about Illinois? So even in Illinois, even the paper of record admits what's going on here. They do it in somewhat a roundabout way. Illinois adult immigrants ages 42 to 64 without legal status. Look at the language, right? The mental gymnastics they have to do here to try to circumvent it. For people that are so bold that now just want to off conservatives, Republicans, want to remove their First Amendment right, and in some cases their Second Amendment right as well. It's so funny how some of them try to obfuscate what they're actually trying to say. It's like, well, it's weird how you want to be so bold sometimes, but other times, well, you don't really want to say it out loud. So you have to switch the words up a little bit and treat us like we're trying to be idiots or stupid. Without legal status, don't you love that one? That just means an illegal immigrant, have lost their health care to save an estimated $404 million. Again, if you're just joining us, we're talking improving with primary sources from the actual website of the actual thing that shows that illegal immigrants are getting Medicaid. And you're seeing from Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and the rest of the Democrat Party, it's not happening. It's all cheap fakes, deep fakes. But two and two together. You put them both together, and it's not hard to conclude that indeed so-called immigrants without legal status were indeed receiving Medicaid benefits. The Denver Post even admits the same thing is happening in Colorado. Colorado and 19 other states sued the federal government Tuesday to prevent Medicaid data from being used for immigration enforcement. Well, why would you want to do that? How could Medicaid data be used for immigration enforcement? Well, if illegal aliens have nothing to do with Medicaid because they can't access it, then you'd think ICE would have no use for that metadata. For the Medicaid specifically. But of course, illegal aliens are indeed receiving taxpayer-funded health care. And Democrats are doing everything they can, including filing lawsuits, by the way, to prevent this fraud from being exposed and stopped. On the Democrat side, they often claim that only state funds are being used to fund these programs. They'll say that even though these are Medicaid programs, or only state level, by the way, this is one they really love to push, especially here in the state of California. They're only state level taxpayers are footing the bill. Oh, lovely. Yeah, love that. Well, don't worry, it's not on a federal level, but the Americans per their states are still being reamed from behind on this. Gotcha. So I'm already struggling paying the bills as it is. But now I have to foot their health care. I also have to foot my health care. I have to foot my education. I have to also foot their kids' educations. Got that. I have to foot my own meals, my own groceries, and I have to foot theirs as well. Oh, I have to pay for my own transportation, but I also have to pay for their transportation. Okay, just understand. So basically everything's so expensive because I'm having to feed 2 families, 3, 4, maybe at a time, including my own. Understood. Gotcha. But on top of that, this claim is simply a lie. Federal funds are used in these programs all the time, often as a part of a shell game using federal tax revenue, which is carefully engineered to obscure the truth. So we have this here by Eric Burleson, who's awesome, by the way, also really big in UAPs and the UFO community, breaking it down for us.
This is probably the most important thing to understand. Originally, Medicaid was intended for the disabled, for children, and for pregnant moms. It was intended for the elderly in a nursing home, right? So this is the population that Medicaid was focused on. And for every $1 that a state spends on this population, it forces the federal government to match that and pay 1.33. Okay, so for every $1, we're spending 1.33 from the federal level, which means in total, the spend on them is 2.33. Now, let's talk about this individual. This is a young person. This is someone between the ages of 18 and 60. This individual is not disabled. They're not a child. They're not a pregnant mom. This is a working age adult that should be working.
Meaning it could be very well just a lazy person that doesn't want to get up off their you-know-what and contribute to society in any way. They like living in mommy's basement and playing video games. Now, the left and the Democrats are like, how could you? That's so unempathetic. How could you say things like that? Are there people that are under this that probably should be, maybe getting some sort of assistance, healthcare thing that they're not doing? Sure, maybe. But this is what happens when you don't make teenagers work anymore. This is what happens when we've turned a fast food industry into an actual career now of you scooping food onto a plate and handing it to somebody for $25 an hour. It is not a job that is supposed to feed people in terms of a career working at Taco Bell and McDonald's for the rest of your life if you're not a manager. Managers can make pretty good money doing that type of stuff. That was a job strictly for teenagers. It was a big in and out type of thing. You get in and out, you get some experience, It helps you get your next job. But now we've turned it into full careers. And now these kids sit at home and they play video games all day, and they're called iPad kids.
And under Bill Clinton required this person to demonstrate that they're at least trying to get a job. The Bill Clinton work requirement rules. Bill Clinton and Al Gore, who supported these rules, said this individual, if they're going to school to try to get a job, or they are spending 20 hours a week applying for jobs, or they're working and they're just still not making enough money to support themselves, then they would qualify for Medicaid. But that's the way things used to be, because now they've waived all those requirements. So this individual can still stay at home, not get a job, not even try to get a job, and we have to pay for their health care benefits.
Lovely.
And so this individual who should be working to support the disabled, the children, and the pregnant moms, this individual is not. And we're paying for that person to stay home for their health care benefits.
And then everybody wonders why everything is so expensive. Everybody wonders why they're having a tough time climbing the ladder. Because not only are you, by the way, this looks a hell of a lot like my logo. Just saying, it looks a lot like my logo. Not only, again, are you paying for yourself, but now you're also paying for illegal immigrants. And just to make matters worse for you, now you're going to pay for the lazy Americans that don't want to do anything and want to siphon from the system. And by the way, there's a lot of Republicans that are involved in that as well. Okay, there's a lot of Republicans that siphon from the system too. So don't be fooled. So California uses a loophole to inflate provider payments drawn down from federal funds for more federal funds. Check this out.
California figured this out, that they can force the federal government to spend $9 for every $1 that it spends, and they're using it to launder money. And this is the way they do it. And it costs no money to California because they raise taxes on managed care companies, the companies that are providing Medicaid. So they go to these companies and say, we're going to tax you, but don't worry, we're going to give you all of the money that we just taxed you right back. But in the meantime, we're going to take that money and we're going to pull down federal dollars, and that'll let us have more money so that we can spend it on expanding the population for Medicaid and spend it on illegal immigrants. In fact, this scheme has allowed California to spend nearly $4 billion to put illegal immigrants to pay for illegal immigrants to have Medicaid. $4 billion. This is crazy. And this total scheme is spending more money in federal dollars in California that we send in federal dollars than the entire state of Florida spends in 1 year in their entire annual budget. So this is absurd.
Crazy.
This has to be corrected. California is stealing federal dollars, and they're rubbing our noses in it by paying for illegal immigrants and encouraging them to come over here.
Well, they're not just rubbing your nose into it. They're just blatantly lying to you. That's what they're doing. Oh, it's not happening. Gavin Newsom lies about this. This is where all our money's going. No wonder we're the highest tax state in the union. No wonder we don't have any money. No wonder we're in a deficit as well. And mind you, we're in a deficit still taking all of your money too. Hey, please understand. Keep your money. Don't be sending it over here. Not that you have a choice, because now these representatives, these nut jobs that are being voted in, are the ones stealing your money and giving it to freaking us and act like idiots over here in the state of California. We have the worst roads. We have the highest homeless population. We have all this stuff. It sucks. Now, you might be asking, well, Brad, why do you still live there? Because I'm on the front lines taking grenades on this culture war here in the state of California, because I'm still holding out hope that this state is not lost. And everybody else left that's conservative, I'm still here holding down the fort, baby. I'm going to bring this state back to its glory. Altogether, by conservative estimates, there are roughly, look at this. I mean, it takes your breath away. 1.5 million illegal aliens who are currently receiving Medicaid benefits, along with nearly 5 million able-bodied individuals who receive Medicaid benefits but choose not to work. Key phrase, choose not to work. They can do it. And this is where Democrats are getting in a hissy fit, because they love socialism. And so what they love is, because you have money and the one kid, this teenager or adult, however you want to phrase it, is in their mommy's basement playing video games with the headset on rather than going and contributing to society and getting a freaking job. You, because you were working and you have money, they deserve your money, and you have to make sure that you take care of them as well as their parents. This is where we're at right now. It's ridiculous. Brad, you need to run for something. I ain't running for nothing, man. Screw the government. Government's evil. Even in relatively small states like Connecticut, the cost is astronomical. I mean, does anybody else feel like you just got kicked in the gut when you start reading these numbers? At least $80 million in state funds have been used to pay for health care for children and expectant and postpartum mothers without legal immigration status since this coverage became available through Connecticut's Medicaid program 2 years ago. $40 million a year is going towards this. Are you serious? Incredible. Emergency department visits. You know, when you go to the emergency room and it takes 8 hours to get your toe looked at. You wonder why? Because it's filled with illegals utilizing it for basic care necessities. Do you want to know how I know this? Anybody want to take a gander? See, when you're not in a stupid major like underwater basket weaving or some of these liberal arts degrees that know absolutely nothing, I'm not saying there isn't any use for them, but a lot of them are wasteful. You don't need to go to a college degree to read a fucking book and write an essay about it. When you're in degrees like accounting to become a CPA or engineering or mathematics and physics, like all of us that actually had a hard degree in college, we all hung out together. Meaning my friends went on to be doctors. My friends went on to be nurses. My friends went on to actually make a lot of money. So when I go out and get lunch with them, guess what we get to talk about? We get to talk about all of this, especially when some of them, I have multiple friends that are doctors, by the way, and multiple friends that are nurses, especially when we talk about the emergency room. And my friends are emergency room nurses and doctors, by the way. And they've all said that that is going on. It is 100% guaranteed. And I said, hey, you know what? I'm a stats person. When we say 100%, that means there's no way around that it's not happening. It is guaranteed in the same way. If I said 100% guaranteed, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, then that's happening. Guaranteed. That's what they said. They said it 100% happening. And I've witnessed it myself. So as you can see, in just 4 months, the November of 2024 to February 2025, more than 100,000 patients in Texas hospitals alone admitted they were in the country illegally, or legally rather, meaning they were illegal. That includes 23,000 inpatient discharges, 85, I mean, these are, it takes my breath away, 85,000 emergency department visits, and at the same time, more than 600,000 patients refused to provide their immigration status, meaning these numbers are bigger than what's actually being recorded. And again, the vast majority of people who decline to answer were receiving emergency care. So we can assume of that, the vast majority of the 600,000 patients are also illegal aliens. Or else what's the problem with your immigration status? Yeah, I'm an American citizen. I'm here. Now look at this. Look at this number for Texas. Texas hospitals, illegal aliens are costing them more than $120 million per month. Per month. And again, the important thing to consider here isn't simply the cost, which is obviously too high. It's also to recognize that even if illegal aliens were somehow paying for their own care, which they are not, they're still creating a massive drain on the healthcare system, which is why I had a friend that had to sit in a chair out in the lobby, like not the lobby where everybody's at, but you get like admitted, right? You get your blood pressure looked at. They draw some blood from you, but they're drawing the blood with you sitting in a chair in a hallway because they can't get an emergency room because the emergency room's so impacted. Why do you think it's so impacted? I'm not saying there's not Americans there, but a big thing is the illegal immigrants. And by the way, when they started seizing up the border and actually protecting it, a lot of people started posting on TikTok on how they were finally able to get doctor's appointments, and they were filming the lobby going, I'm here every week, because some people need like blood, like iron fusions and stuff like that, and like regular visits. And they're like, I've never seen it so empty. And they're looking around. There's nobody in sight. They're like, I've never seen it like this. I've been coming here for years. Why? Because it's a drain on the system, and that's what's happening here. They're filling up emergency rooms and doctors' offices at a time when doctors are in short supply. By itself, that's more than enough reason to deny illegals any access to Medicaid or to our healthcare system in general. When you used to come to this country as an immigrant, a legal one, by the way, is that you weren't given all these benefits. You weren't handed down all these free things that now we provide. So even some democratic institutions are finally coming around to this realization. The Washington Post editorial board, of all places, just published an editorial that supports Republicans' position. Check this out. The real problem, and I love this because haven't I been preaching this all week? I mean, granted, it's only, Tuesday, but you know what I mean? I've been talking about it even longer than that. The real problem is that the Affordable Care Act was never actually affordable. Thank you, Washington Post, for finally acknowledging what I've been saying since freaking 2008, 2009. I've been saying this. Finally, common sense has come back to America. I couldn't, by the way, I was so giddy reading through this earlier today. I've actually read some of this. I was so giddy to share this one thing with all of you because it's always nice to have confirmation bias and go, okay, somebody else acknowledges and sees what I see. Granted, I know that usually our community, we're in the same boat with one another, but it's still nice to see nonetheless. So you have here, Democrats have demanded that Republicans agree to extend the COVID era insurance subsidies, which is what we talked about yesterday, without proposing any way to pay for it. How many times on the show have I preached saying that Democrats just shout stuff to the skies, but have no idea how they're actually going to do it? I mean, this is AOC's Green New Deal, is it not? Let's get rid of everything that's fossil fuel and we'll rebuild all of the buildings and houses and get rid of airplanes, trains, and cars and boats. How are you going to do that, AOC? There's not enough money on the planet to do that. I don't know. Or you get the black people coming out saying they want reparations in the tune of like $250,000 or like that for every black resident in the state of California. And when I ran the numbers, there's legitimately not enough wealth on this planet to actually pull off something like that. But this is what happens when you get idiots out there that just shout stuff to the skies. I want free health care for everybody. It's like, how are you going to do that? I don't know, but I want it. It's like, oh, sure. I want to win the lottery, but I don't exactly know how I'm going to do that and beat the odds other than maybe buying a ticket. So it's an indication that everyone, even the deranged partisans who read the Washington Post, understand that Democrats have no credibility whatsoever when it comes to healthcare or anything else for that matter. It's this recent history that we should keep in mind when they try to fact check claims that illegal aliens are receiving federal healthcare benefits. Before Obamacare, if you were a healthy young person, you didn't have to subsidize anyone else's insurance. Correct. You didn't have to purchase comprehensive coverage you didn't need. You could pay out of pocket for most visits and keep coverage from the most serious, life-threatening issues like cancer. The system that replaced this arrangement was a disastrous deal for Americans called Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, the dog shit insurance that we were told was life-changing, that was going to be affordable for everybody and be the best health care you've ever received. And it became a completely unworkable, catastrophic deal with Americans, or for Americans, when forced to subsidize the healthcare plans of millions of foreign nationals on top of their fellow citizens, which is what I covered earlier. Unbelievable. $120 million a month, man, it's costing people in Texas. By the way, again, for us, it's like $14 billion or something like that we're paying over here in the state of California. It's freaking bonkers, man. It really, really is. I mean, it's head spinning, but it's okay. It's always fine when somebody else is footing the bill. You don't have to worry about it. Nuts, man. Absolutely nuts. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Follow us. Subscribing is free, folks. If you want to become a member, we would love that for that as well. But if you haven't already, I mean, it's football season, folks. Oh boy, is it football season. And you got to make sure you're tuning in. And there's only one way to do it, really. And it's to use the Westwood One app. So, hey, football fans and fanatics. And I'm turning into one. Let me tell you, I'm a hockey fan. But boy, oh boy, am I turning into an NHL fan because of Westwood One. Are you ready for some primetime NFL action, baby? Tune in to Westwood One for all the gridiron glory you crave. From jaw-dropping touchdowns to game-changing plays, and they're going to capture it for you. Let me tell you, they got it down. They got dialed in, baby. Don't miss a moment of this excellent Westwood One app. Catch every snap, every tackle, and every victory on Westwood One. You can listen to the NFL on NFL app, on the Westwood One Sports app, on westwoodonesports.com, via Westwood One station streams, or by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports. If it's the NFL, it's Westwood One. And let me tell you something. I try to stream games on other stuff, and it's such a hassle logging in, and it kind of gets a little ridiculous on trying to make all this stuff work. I'll tell you what, Westwood One, you ain't going to get that. It's easy to log in, it's easy to use, and the quality is superb, folks. And as a sports person, let me tell you, I'm nitpicky. This is the one you're going to want, and it's definitely worth it. Check out Westwood One immediately. Always appreciate them as a sponsor. They take care of us over here. We want to take care of them. All righty. Well, we got some other news here, folks, for all of you. Sit tight, hang tight. We got some footage for you folks. The first thing I want to talk about, though, is an update here as of 16 minutes ago from the President of the United States. We have some breaking news. I am very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line as the first steps towards a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. All parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. And we thank the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Blessed are the peacemakers, President Donald Trump, President of the United States of America. Man, the guy freaking did it. Now, it's only the first phase. I got goosebumps. I'm goosebumps right now. I got hairy ass arms, but I'm goosebumps, man. Woo! That's how it's done, baby. Donald Trump putting in the work. I love it. I mean, he will go. I'm telling you, my whole body's electrified right now. I'm not picking sides on this thing. I just, people are dying, and I'm tired of watching people die. In the same way, I would really love the Russia-Ukraine conflict to stop. I mean, I'm not saying there isn't other small conflicts happening around the world. There's always something going on. But if Donald Trump can solve this, and by the end of the year, if he could solve the Russia-Ukraine thing, I mean, he's, in my opinion, he's already the greatest president in modern history. I've already said that before, and I really do believe that. I'm not just saying that to, like, you know, what's that grandstand? Like, you know, people say blow smoke, brown nose. I don't know what the hell the phrase is. I mean, he would go down as the greatest president in American history. The amount of wars this guy has solved, the amount of things he has figured out for all of us is just incredible. I love it. I love the work that Donald Trump is doing. And it's amazing. Think about all the great things this guy has done with the amount of backlash. You have the entire most powerful government in the world going after you and your family for 4 years. Truthfully, it's longer than that, right? It's ever since he went down the escalator, but you know what I mean. And this guy still does it. This guy still pulls it off. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So again, people are commenting on this. Major breaking news. Trump announces Hamas and Israel have officially agreed to phase 1 of the peace plan. I mean, it is truthfully historic. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. I mean, this is what I mean, is you get people on here. You can get Donald Trump can literally cure cancer. I mean, people use that all the time. This guy is solving conflicts and wars, saving lives, by the way, through this. And this is what people say. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. The only reason why he's doing this is because he's just dying to have the Nobel Peace Prize. It's always about him. One of these days, you people will figure that out. They're deranged. And I've said this. You can't have conversations with people like Terry. You can't, because they're lunatics. They're deranged. They have Trump derangement syndrome. There's something. It's as if somebody took a steel-toed boot and kicked them in the head. You can't even have a conversation with these people. You can't nothing. Has Hamas confirmed this? Has Israel confirmed it? I don't know. But this is all the people you get in there, right? Sure, Jan, like, sure. So it's a ceasefire for now, not a peace deal, maybe in 2 weeks. Well, it's the first phase, but this is how everyone's Debbie Downers, right? So when I see people talk about like this stuff, well, it's not a ceasefire now. It almost seems like we're the people that want to continue wars. Isn't it weird that we're the ones trying to stop it? Never saw Joe Biden do anything. Mind you, you know, John Kerry loved to go to other countries and deal with them behind Trump's back and everybody else's back, which I think he tried to like really sidestep the Logan Act, I think is what it's called. Isn't it amazing that you don't where's John Kerry right now trying to solve all this stuff? Why all of a sudden he's not wanting to go to all these countries and solve all these problems, right? I don't see anybody else from the Democrat side of the aisle doing it. Haven't seen them do it, actually. In my lifetime, matter of fact. I didn't see Barack Obama go to all these other countries to try to figure this stuff out. I mean, there's always been something going on in the Middle East. Hell, I mean, the only thing I saw from the Middle East that anybody actually did in most recent time would be Joe Biden pulling out and leaving billions of dollars of military-grade equipment to the Taliban, who we fought for like 20 years, and American soldiers died. And then I also saw Joe Biden take out American veterans who fought in Afghanistan and Iraq, pulled them out of hotel rooms to fill them with illegal immigrants. I also remember Joe Biden also leaving American veterans on the streets, all the while giving free health care to illegal aliens, but making sure that our guys, boots on the ground, sleep in the streets in mud and filth and not get the medications and help that they need and deserve. And well, there's a litany of other things, for example, like giving $80 million every week to 2 weeks to the Taliban, our enemy. I mean, it's laundry list after laundry list, being lax on terrorists, allowing the Houthis to bomb our merchant vessels and our allied merchant vessels in the different straits, in the oceans, over 127 times before he actually did anything whatsoever. But that's fine. No, and then when Donald Trump starts blowing their asses out of the water, because not only are they bombing people, but they're also bringing in narcotics and drugs in the United States. I mean, Donald Trump once again saving lives. Well, now it's a big deal. It's a problem that he's doing. It's not just, right? You should have talked to them. You should have just slowed them down some way, shape, or form. These people don't deal in reality. And when people don't deal in reality, you can't bother even talking to them. And speaking of somebody that doesn't deal in reality, here's Nancy Pelosi. Yes, she is still around. I know she needs to retire. Watch this clip from Dana Bash and just the that's going to come from Nancy Pelosi. Check this out.
For Attorney General, who's embroiled in a scandal over text messages in which he, the Democrat, said that the GOP Speaker of the House of Delegates should get 2 bullets to the head for how he paid tribute to a former moderate Democratic lawmaker who died. He has apologized. Should he get out of the race?
Well, that's up to the people, the leaders in Virginia. They have said he has apologized. What I understand is they say that on balance he's a better person to be Attorney General, but that's up to them. But I wish there would be enough fuss of all the times that people have said they were going to put a bullet in my head right in public.
There should be fuss about that, by the way. I'm with her on that. I don't think anybody should be saying that about Nancy Pelosi. By the way, I live here in California. I don't like Nancy Pelosi. I can only be so clear. I don't wish her any ill will. I don't wish any negative energy upon her. I don't wish anybody to hurt her. So I'm with her on this. Yes, call them out. They're psychos. If there's people on the Republican and conservative side of the aisle, I don't care who the hell you are, that are saying that, yes, call them out. Because I don't want them a part of the Republican or conservative party, which if they're saying shit like that to you, Nancy, they're not a part of our party. They can put lipstick on and wear a Trump hat all they want. That's not something we espouse. That is not a conservative value. It's not a Republican value. They're psychos. They're lunatics. We don't want them a part of our party. I don't give a shit. Get them the fuck out of here. If somebody wants to threaten Nancy Pelosi's life or somebody else's, and they're one of my subscribers or anything like that, you can unsubscribe right now because I don't like that shit.
In the public
I think
domain.
It's because of that. That's one of the reasons I wanted to ask you that. You are somebody who knows all too well in a horrific way.
We have to get rid of that kind of language. I mean, it's just not appropriate.
Well, it starts with your party.
If you were Abigail Spanberger, who's the Democrat running for governor, would you call on him to step aside?
But she has to do what she has to do. She's going to be governor. She's running very well. Everybody's very proud of her candidacy. And her race is her race, and her state is her state, and it's up to her. I really don't get involved in other people's races. That the mayor.
Nancy, you literally got in the middle of Joe Biden running again for the office of the presidency. What do you mean you don't get in the middle of things? You orchestrated it to the point where a lot of people are saying that you're the one that created the actual letter itself because it didn't have the White House letterhead. Like somebody just fabricated. Joe Biden was probably sleeping or something and used auto pen. It didn't even look like auto pen because the signature was off. A little weird.
Of New York, of this, of that. It's up to the people in that state, and I respect their judgment and wish them well. And she and Mikey Sherrill will both be new women governors, and I'm very excited about that.
I'm so excited that they're women. I don't care if somebody's a woman or anything else. How about your head just works straight? That's what I care about. I don't care if somebody's a woman. There's a lot of great women that can lead. I'm trying to find. Let me see if this is the clip on.
For billions of dollars going into.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is the clip I want to show you. It's a continuation. I know I'm subjecting to Nancy Pelosi, but it's important.
Is here at the table. Day 8 of the government. First of all, thank you so much for being here in person. We are day 8. This is a real stalemate. unless you know something I don't. But, right now what we're seeing is President Trump and Republican leaders are saying they're not going to negotiate on extending the healthcare subsidies until the government reopens. So I guess my first question is, what's wrong with that position? Why not open the government and then negotiate?
The government was opened, and then the Republicans closed it because they did not want to extend health care subsidies. That means that will raise the cost of health care to America's working families. They had their chance for all of this, but they didn't do it. Now they're saying, oh, if you open it, we'll do it. I don't believe that, but nonetheless, here's the thing. The reason that the government is shut down is because the Republicans have insisted on taking down the subsidies, also Medicare, Medicaid, all of that, food for children, hundreds of billions of dollars for SNAP, to give a tax cut to the wealthiest people and the wealthiest corporations in America. You don't expect us to say, okay, we'll agree to you're giving a tax cut to the richest people in America and increasing the cost of health care to open government. It's going to be up to them. They shut down government, and they're going to have to open up government. They have every shutdown since the 90s, when I've been around anyway, has been a Republican shutdown.
I understand what you're saying about where the differences are, and they are very big. They are voting yes on what we say here in Washington, a clean CR, a bill to keep the government running for 7 weeks, and Democrats are voting no, and for the reasons you just said. So how are they shutting down the government?
First of all, it isn't a clean CR.
Okay.
So let's not stipulate to that. It's not a clean CR.
What do they have in it?
Going into that. The point is, Democrats who created Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, all of that, are now being asked, reject that so we can give a tax cut to the rich. We're not doing it. And it isn't a question of, well, let's come back together so we can discuss it. That isn't going to happen. They had that chance. Now they just have to open government with it as a stipulation.
So how do you get there? Would it be the president saying he's willing to engage in negotiations? What do you actually need tangibly to get there?
Well, let me just say I'm so pleased with Hakeem Jeffries and the role he's playing for our House Democrats, Chuck, of course. But here's the thing. Everything important springs from the people. The public knows that this is wrong for them. This is a kitchen table issue for them. This is a kitchen table issue. They want costs lowered. The Republicans are raising the cost. And this is, our members have been all over the country spreading the word. Lincoln, public sentiment is everything. With it, you can accomplish almost anything. And that is what we were doing. They're going to hear from their own constituents that government has to open up under these conditions.
Geez, she don't have a clue. She needs to retire. She needs to go away. She don't even know where she's at, man. I mean, she's working hard just to keep them dentures in. But, well, there you have it, folks. That was our afternoon episode. Appreciate all of you joining me. We were able to pull it off today. I wasn't so sure, I'll be honest, if I was able to do it today, but missed everything else going on. We're actually able to do it. It's almost as if we did a Dark MAGA episode, but we streamed for over an hour. We brought you the news. And granted, we kind of focused on two big things. The Biden 3-letter agencies from his administration spying on U.S. senators, and which leads to them just spying on you, which we already know what they're doing, and proving to you with receipts that illegal immigrants are in fact tapping into Medicaid, all the while the Democrats are saying that it's not happening. Just totally trying to gaslight the crap out of everybody. It's remarkable. It's crazy. And speaking of remarkable and crazy, we showed you Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy, and crazy Hakeem Jeffries just saying a bunch of nonsense, which is so typical of that party and that side of the aisle. Well, if you enjoyed what you saw, again, we do this each and every morning. 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time is our normal podcast, which means we will be back here tomorrow at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, as well as it's Thursday. Tomorrow is Thursday. I thought today was Tuesday. Tomorrow is Thursday. We'll have Dark MAGA as well at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but that is restricted to premium members only. So if you want to give your hard-earned money to the show, it all goes back into it, which is greatly appreciated. You go to baldbrad.com and donate over there, or head over to Rumble and become a subscriber so you're able to get that behind the paywall content that we do every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. With that being said, pray for this country, pray for Donald Trump, read your Bibles, and shout out to Donald Trump again for creating peace in the Middle East, or at least a step forward for peace in the Middle East. Take care, Patriots.